that and what happened are the two, especially in college. In college, you're young and people don't. Hey, what happened to you? I was in a car accident. Can you still fuck? Okay, my name's Fletcher. Nice to meet you.
It is the question we
Eyes
need
up
to
here,
know.
eyes up
Everyone
here.
watching wants to know. No one wants to ask. Tiffany doesn't care.
Welcome to the Elite Few podcast, where we explore the fabulous, extraordinary world of the people who move the needle of success. Join our host Tiffany and producer Kyle as we dive into the stories and insights of the elite few who are making a difference and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Let's get started.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Elite Few podcast. I'm Kyle Goodnight, your producer, along with Tiffany Feeney, our host.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for joining us, guys.
So today, before we introduce our guests, just want to remind everybody that we do have T-shirts in our merchandise store on our website, theelitefew.com. And that is something that has just been launched. So excited about that. And just remember, if you're watching this podcast and you have a specific story or a special story that you feel would be something that our listeners would want to hear, don't hesitate. Go to our website. There's a section where you can put your name, your email, talk to us all about your story, and send that off to us. And then we can give you a call and get you scheduled to come on the show. Other than that, Tiffany, would you like to go ahead and kick off today's show and introduce our guest?
I do. I want to introduce Fletcher. He's got some amazing motivational speaking stuff to go over. But the thing that really interested me was his ADA interests. Years ago, I had worked with quadriplegics and paraplegics, and it's an extremely difficult world to navigate, especially when you're going from a regular life. You're very active. You have a lot of regular life activities every day, and then you lose that. But the people with the best mindset worked out the best. Those people were the ones that could carry through, make it happen, and make the changes. And I really want to hear his story because his motivational speaking, I think that'll really help a lot of people and no matter what you're facing. Am I correct, Fletcher?
Couldn't be any right on the nail. Got it 100%.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about first, what got you into motivational speaking?
Yeah, for sure. So I can start from the beginning, just with my story initially. So Fletcher Cleaves, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. And, growing up, I was definitely a boy's boy, so to speak, breaking crayons and putting firecrackers in mailboxes and doing all that stuff, right? So, my parents realized I had a lot of energy, so they wanted to put me in organized team sports. So once they put me in organized team sports, I fell in love with the craft, bettering my abilities. Then once I got around high school, I kind of realized that I was physically gifted, and I just started focusing more. I got a personal trainer, started working out without the team, with the team, doing my own thing, and fell in love with football, and I was blessed enough to receive a football scholarship coming out of high school. And once I received it, Lambs University in Jackson, Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah. So once I did that, I was like, all right, this is what you've been working on for the last 4 years. You're a collegiate football player. It's time to really put in the work. The competition is more fierce, because, in college, everybody was good on their high school team, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Big fish.
Everybody was an MVP. That's right.
Yeah. What do they call that? The big fish in the small pond. Then you're the small fish in the big pond.
I remember going and was like, yeah, I was all state and, I was this, that. And I was like, we all were.
Everybody's like, yeah, I know. We're all state. Yeah. Okay. Welcome. Yeah, so, it is. It's amazing when you level up like that, and then all of a sudden,
yes, and I'm
everything you thought you did
faster, and players get stronger. It's like this is a lot more complicated than high school, And so once I graduated high school in May of 2009, I immediately left to go train the rest of the summer. So the rest of May, rest of June, all of July, 2-a-days, all August. I ended up picking up about 25 pounds of pure muscle within 3-4 months. So I'm like, I remember I came home for the first time 4th of July. That's like probably the first time my parents have seen me in multiple months, 2 or 3 months. And I remember my dad was like, "Holy, like, dude, you are huge." I was like, "Really?" I feel the same size. I was like, "No, dude, like you are look at your arms. And, maybe these workouts are working. And so I got my body prepared for that. But unfortunately, a week or so before our first game, September 10th, 2009, a lady was texting and driving and ran my roommate and I off the road as we were leaving Buffalo Wild Wings, watching the first NFL game of the season.
Oh my goodness.
She just wasn't paying attention. She crossed over the double yellow line and headed straight towards us. And I swerved to miss her, overcorrected. Once I swerved, I hit the guardrail, flipped into an embankment, flipped multiple times. And as we were tumbling, the roof caved in and broke my neck in 2 places. I was knocked unconscious immediately. And my roommate was partially ejected from the vehicle. I guess as we were rolling, he was ejected from the vehicle. And the car actually landed on top of his arm. So, like, as it was rolling and he was being ejected, the car landed on top of his arm. So He's calling my name. I think I was briefly hitting on this before we started recording with Kyle. He's calling my name. He's like, Fletch. I'm like, in my mind, we had to like wake up early in the morning for like receiver meetings at 5 a.m. receiver meetings. So he's calling my name and I'm like, what? And I realized I was unconscious. I was like, what? And he was like, are you all right? And I started to try to, I remember landing on my right side. I tried to flip over, but I really couldn't move. I was pinned in the car. So I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. And I realized we were still in the car. And he's like, Fletch, I'm stuck. So he's like adrenaline. He pulls his arm from underneath the car, ends up doing more damage, rips like ligaments out and all that stuff. And, he panics once he sees his arm. And I was like, did it hurt? He was like, no, the adrenaline didn't hurt. I was like, when did you know that your arm was in bad condition? He was like, I put my arm on the top of the hood, the top of the car to bend down to talk to you, to like get his balance. And then like I looked at my arm, and then once I saw it, he was like, oh, and
right.
Yeah, so he climbs back up the hill, flags down a lady in a golf cart that's patrolling the church, just patrolling the church. So do that. The ambulance come, grabs fire department, jaws of life, grabs me out. And I knew something was wrong because I remember trying to get out the vehicle and I couldn't really move my legs. So I thought my legs were broken. And I was like, but it doesn't hurt. That's weird. So I get in the back of the EMT. She's asking me all these questions. What's your name? Where are you from? What's today's date? I'm getting all these. I'm Memphis, Tennessee. My address 8423. Today is September. I just got out. I'm doing all these things. And she's like, yep, absolutely. And then she says, I want you to move your right leg. I said, okay. Then she says, move your right leg. I said, I did. She says, all right. Mm-hmm. She says, move your left leg. I said, all right. She says, now move your left leg. I said, I did. And that's the point I kind of knew something was wrong. And as I mentioned in the vehicle, I was like, my legs must be broken. So that kind of further made me think my legs were broken. I was like, give it to me straight. And she goes, well, you look fine. I was like, really? She was like, but we think you have a spinal cord injury. I was like, okay. What does that mean? So you might be paralyzed, but we're going to run some more tests. And from that point forward, it was a whole journey to get to where I am today.
Wow.
Okay, first of all, I have to say, oh my God, that's insane.
Right.
You had your entire life taken in a second, like a flash.
I wasn't dead. It wasn't taken.
No, that's true. You're right. But what you thought, thought you had, the life you believed you had. And when was it the point that you realized, okay, I'm not playing collegiate ball. My life is now going in a whole new road. What moment of that time period did you guess at?
When I went to the hospital, they put a halo on my head and screws in my skull to try to reset my neck. And then I had but because remember I told you I gained like 25 pounds of muscle. So the doctor was saying like, because his neck is so strong, the halo is having no effect on him. Like, so we have to perform surgery. I was like, okay. So they performed surgery the next morning. And then that's when they kind of confirmed like, yeah, you do have break in your C5, C6 vertebrae. You are paralyzed. You won't be able to do X, you won't be able to do Y, you won't be able to do Z. And that's kind of when I kind of knew that things would take a completely different turn. Because playing football, what's the worst injury they tell you? Is like, you don't want to break your neck. Yeah.
Neck injury. Yeah.
Neck injury.
Head up. Don't dip your head,
Absolutely. So he was like, yep, you got a neck injury. I was like, this is the one thing I was trying to avoid.
Right.
So I kind of didn't know what to expect, but just kind of faced it head on.
So how long were you in the hospital and recovery and all that before you?
Yeah, which is phenomenal. So no, I wasn't, man. I was in the hospital 10 days.
Was? Oh, 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
that's the contest of, because once again, I was in such great shape. The doctor was like, his recovery, his blood pressure is normal. Like he's recovering faster than anybody I've ever seen, as far as like his vitals and everything. So I had the surgery the next morning. I had one surgery, and then 3 days later I had another neck surgery, and then 5 days after that I was gone. So it was like there's no Fletcher's. I remember the doctor telling Fletcher's not sick. Like he has no complications. He has nothing. There's nothing wrong with him. He doesn't need to be in a hospital.
He's just broken. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be in a hospital. He can go to therapy.
Right.
So I was like,
so did you go to an extended therapy, or did you go home, or did you go to like an ECF
from Jackson, Tennessee. I went to Atlanta, Georgia, to the Shepherd Center, which is
okay. So you went to a center specifically for injury course.
And that experience changed my life completely. It opened my eyes to what the capabilities, because being paralyzed, you don't know adaptive equipment, you don't know anything about accessible vans, you don't know anything about all these things, and having access to that information changed my life completely and altered my life in a positive manner. And meeting other people in wheelchairs that have been newly injured and just sharing experiences made me thankful for what I was dealing with, because you have people who was on ventilators, people that are neck down, that move their chairs with their mouths, people that can't do anything, just facial expressions, and just talking to other, quadriplegics and other people of spinal cord injury. It was like, I was in a coma for 2 weeks. I was in the hospital for 6 months. I was like, I was in the hospital.
It changes your whole reality and perspective, right? Like your paradigm shift is like, wait a minute, this could be worse.
Yeah.
And that's
a great message.
I had an accident that required surgery on that same area, but I actually ended up having C2 to C7 worked on. And all I kept thinking about was that, because again, I worked with paraplegics, quadriplegics. I knew what was happening. I knew what part of my body was being affected. And it was a car accident. And I knew full well, everyone's like, this is terrible. I did not think it was terrible. I was like, I was already, I'm like, I can walk, I can move. I was in horrible pain because those surgeries are, dear God, it's like, at one point I told my son, I said, now I know how Wolverine feels. He goes, nope, still not there, Mom. I'm like, okay.
That's it.
Well, and with my background, Fletcher, I have worked on people like you from the incident. I've had that fortunate for them because someone's there to help them. But, I've worked on people that we feel that have a spinal cord injury or do, and all the way out to the rehab center. When I worked in the hospital, when they were sick and they did have lung issues, I would work on them for respiratory therapy purposes.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems or anything.
Right. And that's wonderful. And it reminds me, your story about, and Tiffany's story, it reminds me of a friend of mine who fell off of a roof a couple of years ago and had a really bad fracture of his leg. And he was in jeopardy of losing the leg. And I called him up. I was standing in the ICU where I was working at the time, talking to him on the phone because I knew he was at a sister hospital, and I wanted to give him a call. And it was a day or two after his surgeries, and he was really down on himself and everything. I said, listen, I'm looking at no less. It was about October, right? And, hunting season in Ohio. And I said, I'm looking at no less than 4 people that were up in tree stands that fell out and they hit their noggin. They hit their head and they're done. They're not going to come back from this.
Wait,
I'm
you
like,
mean dead?
your leg, you mean
dead?
They're mental. They're mentally, they're brain dead. Yes.
Yeah.
Their heart was still going. But I deal with people all the time that if they get a
out
head
of a
injury,
tree thing. Oh my word.
Oh yeah. Well, they're 30 feet up, Tiff. I mean, we call it a trauma. If you hit your head and you're only double my height, I'm 6 foot tall. If I fall from a 6 foot standing position and hit my head, I'm a trauma. If I double that or triple
I fell
it's
from
even
over 30 feet at Old Man's Cave. I jumped off a cliff because I don't know. I was 19 and I thought I was invincible.
But did you hit your head? You
no,
probably didn't
but
hit
I did
your
sprain my ankle. I did. Did sprain my ankle.
That's a good thing. My point.
And hit your head, that's a trauma injury?
Yeah. From double your height or, anything from, and if you're old, if you're over 60, 65, even from a standing position and you hit your head, you're instantly a trauma.
See, that's makes me nervous because I've fallen like backwards out of my chair and like hit my head.
Yeah.
And like,
you got to be, you got to be very careful. Well, the head, and I was talking to my friend.
I think we need to call Javen on that about the windowsill issue. Fletcher, my son has a problem where he lives on the second floor, and in order to fix the window thing on the outside, he steps out on the window ledge. His girlfriend told me, and pushes it up. It's this much of a ledge.
How old is he? 25, 26?
26? Yes.
Yep.
The dumbass age.
Sounds
Yeah.
like I'm a 26-year-old dude.
That's right. I know. And so I reminded him what will happen is, I said, you won't be able to say anything, but and I'll think you're laughing at the 500th cat video by noon that I've showed you, because he loves it when I show him cat videos. He thinks it's so fun. So the point is, he would just be in living hell forever listening to cat videos for the rest of his life as his mom shows them to him. And I keep telling him, I'm like, get off the freaking ledge. You're right. What is with 26-year-olds?
The center I went to, it specializes in spinal cord and brain injury. So there's a brain injury side and spinal cord side. And like, I mean, I tell people all the time, you do not want a brain injury because like, they have
so with that being said, and kind of that segues into my next question, which will kind of lead us down the path of why you became your motivational speaker side of things. So you're not only seeing how lucky you have it, even though your dream has ended, and you're seeing other people who have had head injuries, or even worse, a quadriplegic, not a paraplegic. Because is that right? You're a paraplegic, meaning two?
No, I'm a quadriplegic.
Quadriplegic. Okay. Yeah. Can you explain the difference between para and quad for our listeners?
Quad means all four limbs are affected. So I don't have control of my triceps, pectoral muscles. Okay. I can't move my fingers individually.
Okay.
So, you know, with the C5, C6, that function controls finger movement, pectoral muscles, you know, anything below C5, C6 was unreachable, so to speak, from my spinal cord perspective.
Right.
So, but I tell people all the time, maybe because I am a quad, like paras, I don't even consider them to be paralyzed.
Do you guys have like battles or like quadra versus paras?
Yeah, literally the only thing paras cannot do is walk. Wait.
We missed the most important thing. Kyle skips over all the really important stuff. Fletcher, I need to know about sex.
Okay.
What can you do?
Of course I skip across that.
I'm sorry.
That's why we have a male and female host, Fletcher. So these kind of questions have to come up.
Fletcher, I have to ask.
That and what happened are the two, you know, especially in college. You know, in college, you know, you're young and people don't. Hey, what happened to you? I was in a car accident. Can you still fuck? Okay. My name is Fletcher. Nice to meet you.
It is the question we need to know. Everyone watching wants to know. No one wants to ask. Tiffany doesn't care.
Yes, of course, you know, there's differences, but the job still gets done.
That's what's important. And I like your ambition and your optimism on that. That's what's important. It's not what you can do. It's like how well you can see it through. I'll tell you.
Exactly. It's like I didn't take the straight line route, but I still got to the finish line.
Amen. That's and I like that because it's that kind of drive that makes women happy. It keeps us smiling.
There you go. Plus, that's the first thing, you know, 18, and when I got hurt at 18, and at that point in my life, I had 3 responsibilities.
Oh my God! At
School,
18,
football, girls.
Yeah.
School, football, girls were the only 3 things I was concerned about. So when the doctor,
you still want to get in their holes. You got to figure out how to accomplish it.
I don't know how 18-year-old females think. They may be more conservative. But 18-year-old males,
we are not
like, hey, you're
conservative.
And I remember like, is it still going to work? And my dad was like, dude, that's the least of your worries. I'm like, no, that's what I care.
No, that's my priority right now.
Yeah,
like, listen, I never took care of one man. Not one guy I ever took care of. Not once ever said that was the last of their worries. And the one client I had was literally had a basketball scholarship at OSU. And damn, I had to take care of him he was so hot. Like you said, like you were ripped, right? Like you walked in there and the lady who gave me the case, she's like, we have to talk before you walk in. I'm like, how bad can it be? She goes, Tiffany, you have to just hold your breath and get through it. I'm like, how bad? She goes, no, he's so hot. I literally had to bite my tongue the whole time and just pretend. She goes, I had to give him his opening shower, have the conversation, go over she goes, I barely made it out of there without just bursting. She's like, I'm like,
being attracted to a paralyzed man or whatever his injury was.
Oh, women don't care. Everyone in that whole facility at OSU that I worked on, the OSU facility for, you know, quads and peds, Oh my God.
Mhm.
They all had girlfriends. Some had several. Like some of these guys had 3 or 4 girlfriends. I
Mhm.
mean,
And they
Hey,
didn't care.
no, the
man,
girls didn't care.
Hey Tiffany,
man.
to get this off of to kind of
Yes.
get us
Oh, we're
steered
supposed
back
to
here.
leave away from sex. Fine.
Well, no,
whatever.
I just did you see what Fletcher just did a couple of
What?
seconds ago? Did you see what he did?
No.
Did
What?
you see that he drank some water out of a cup that had a straw?
Yes,
What's
we
wrong with
just
that?
released
He-
our Pocket Stream episode. Boom. Yeah.
Fletcher, we've got to turn you on to a product that we just
Yeah.
see that? I mean,
No. Wait, listen, I gotta say something to you. He needs to keep that sucking and he needs to keep that straw. He's limited in some
What's the deal? What's
abilities
going on
and
here?
he
I
needs
don't
that
get the
tongue
joke.
working.
God, Tiffany,
What?
you need to take a cold shower before we record from now on.
Or something.
I'm not
So what's the
different.
straw?
No,
What's the straw
Fletcher,
You
for
grew up
you?
with me.
No, our last podcast was we highlighted a family who developed a cup that has a button on it that pushes the water up into people's mouths for strokes, for people that are
Can't
like
do
more
that.
more affected
Mhm.
quadriplegic than you, like people that can't generate the negative force to drink stuff like that. So
I
it's
like it.
called the Pocket Stream, and just if you haven't watched that episode yet, it's the one behind. It's one of the ones behind it. I think it's said labeled number 5.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll definitely have to turn you on to that once it launches. It's
Oh yeah,
supposed to be
I
out
hate
in
picking up
January.
actual cups and like I have a metal straw I actually travel with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You have to watch it.
Okay,
So
I wanna talk about
back to your rehab
ADA.
days.
No, wait,
Yeah.
we want to find out about
That's part of it.
motivational.
Yeah, that's where I was
Okay.
going to go.
All
Is
right, go ahead.
how he learned about the ADA stuff when he was in his
Yes.
rehab. Is that when you got your passion for ADA
Motivational speaking.
advocacy?
oh no, that was because you think about it, it's a center built for people in wheelchairs. So literally everything's accessible. So I didn't
Okay. Okay.
I thought this was the norm. I thought this was the world. Like this was
Until
the
you
first
left America, right?
No, until I left that center when I came back home.
Oh.
I'm like the states,
Oh.
like I go back to colleges and there's no buttons on doors. The ramp. Where's the ramp? Oh, it's on the east wing, but the door's right here. Well, yeah, just go around the back of the campus. I'm like, the back of the campus,
What?
like things of that. Like the center. Every door has a button. Every door has a ramp because it's made for
Started a revolution.
everything.
My word.
All lights are lowered. It's almost an anomaly it's almost an inconvenience for people who aren't in wheelchairs at the center. It's like everything's low, yeah, because 90% of the people here are in wheelchairs. So you're the minority here, bro. So, but then when you go out to the real world, you realize that it's not like that. It's not as easy. It's a lot of problem solving. And then on top of that, when you go out the country, you're like, it's no accessibility at all. It's like there's no such thing as a ramp or an elevator. So it's just realizing that and just how, especially being 2023, 22, 21, all the years close I've been traveling. It's like there's no reason why come on, this is 2019. We should have elevators and ramps in Paris and all these major in Rome and all these major cities.
I do not care. You know, I'm on the same page as you. I thought about that in Rome. You and I already had this conversation in our prep talk. Bullshit. I don't care that those stairs are 2,000 years old and Jesus walked on them. Put a fucking ramp in it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Italy,
I
Europe.
altering the
Quit.
structure.
Oh, we're old. We're older than America. Oh, screw you. You know what? Get progressive, please. No.
You know what I realized?
Sorry,
People don't
Kyle.
care
He's
until it affects them.
No, I don't like you. I like you being unleashed, except for when we go down the we go down the road of your sexual. That's when I'm like, hold on a minute.
Wait till we get to
My
our
wife's
sex toy
listening,
episode. Yeah.
No, I won't be a part of that one. You're going to have a different co-host for
well,
that
you're
one.
going to.
I'll
She's
volunteer for
awesome.
co-host for that one.
Thank you, Fletcher. I
He
appreciate
volunteers. You heard that?
I like this guy. Man, I'm gonna have to go to Memphis and visit Fletcher. We might have to see. We have to tape that. I'll be taping it.
But yeah, I was saying that people don't care about ADA or anything until it affects them. It's like we don't need ramps, and then their son becomes in a wheelchair. We need ramps.
We need ramps. Yeah.
Yeah. So stuff like that you don't realize until it affects you.
Yeah.
Well, I do notice it all the time, and it bothers me.
Break down the stairs, but just put a portable ramp up next to the 2,000-year-old stairs.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say something? Let's just not. I mean, whether it's a wheelchair person or an old person, stairs are hard. when you get to a
Mhm.
certain age. And I watch people
Yeah.
who they have bad knees. They're of a certain age. It's hard for them to climb the stairs, go down the steps. If anything, put in a ramp. Like ramps help
You gotta be
everybody.
old.
Yeah.
You could tear ACL at 21. Now you walk around in a cast
Yep.
or
Yep.
a splint, and you like now
Yep.
get up these stairs, bro.
Yep. I mean, Tiffany knows I was on crutches in a wheelchair for 16. I was in a wheelchair for 2 weeks because my knee was so bad, and crutches for 16 weeks after that. That's a long time for it, like you said. But I mean, the good news is I knew I was going to heal from it. I wasn't paralyzed, but so I digress and I'm not trying to be poor, pitiful me or anything, but once again, it enlightened you. I have been working with handicapped folks my whole entire high school career back when I was younger, because I had a next door neighbor that ran the program in the Special Olympics at The Ohio State University. So I was a volunteer from my freshman year or earlier on in those kind of incidences. So I had seen, the struggles that you had now been thrust into, because I'm with them at different places, along with then I was on crutches for a while, and knowing how hard it was to get around places and doors and upstairs and downstairs, and let alone someone that's living with it day to day.
So it's simple things. It's like, hey, let me go to Walmart and do some shopping or whatever the case. And it's like, there's no reason why this should be a 6-hour process because there aren't adequate accessible features.
Right.
What got
so
you
what are you doing
from
in
this
the
to motivational speaking?
Right. Perfect.
Yeah.
That was exactly that's
well, we're on the same page a lot, Fletcher.
Yep.
We argue a lot, but we're on the same page a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask that question again, because we were talking over each other too. Go ahead and ask that question again.
So what got you from this to the motivational speaking?
It was actually like a snowball effect. So when I got back home from therapy, a year in Atlanta, Georgia, I go back to college, and I think my mom's coworker at the time was like, "Hey, my son has a big game coming up this Friday. Do you think Fletcher could come speak to the football team and give them a rah-rah speech?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So I go there, and I'm like, "All right, go out there, give it your all, leave it all on the field. This might be your last game. You never know." So on and so forth. That happened, and then it was like, "Hey, I love that. Can you come give it to my entire 8th grade?" Then I do that. "Can you come give it to my church? Can you come give it to my..." Then so on and so forth. And before I know it, I'm like, "Hey, can you come give it to the entire 9th through 12th grade?" In one presentation, an AT&T representative was there, and once they were there, they were giving like a distracted driving seminar, and I gave my little presentation. And I know I'm not really having anything formulated. I'm just speaking from the heart. And he's like, "Man, I love that story. It's such heartfelt. We want to work with you in the future." I'm like, "All right." A year goes by, I don't hear nothing from that guy. Then a year and a half, I get a call. It was like, "Hey, man, this is Chuck Thomas. I just got on the phone with ESPN, and they want to do a commercial with somebody that's been distracted driving, and that's an athlete." And they made the commercial. And once they made the commercial, the opportunities kind of took off from there.
Wow. So you were in the commercial, or were you consult on it?
It's a PSA, 6-minute PSA based around my accident, my career. So it's on YouTube. I've been on College Game Day. I've been on ESPN Sports Center. I have been across the country. This commercial has been aired in numerous countries, and I've gotten emails from people like, "Hey, I live in Canada. I just saw your commercial. I had to find you on social media. You're such an inspiration." So once that commercial aired, it kind of opened the gates, and then I kind of took it more seriously. I created a website. I perfected my craft. I started formulating actual presentations. I got a slideshow. I wasn't just reading off a piece of paper. And as the years went by, I perfected it, and I'm here where I am today.
So how long have you been doing it now, the motivational part of it?
This probably at this level, or it's just like day one of giving a presentation?
Probably day one. And how long was it between day one, ESPN, and then where you at now?
So ESPN happened in 2015, 14, maybe 14, 13, somewhere around there.
Okay, so we're at 10 years ago for that.
So I was like probably this level maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Okay.
And then like day one, maybe 11, 12 years ago.
Right. So if you were to have a dream speech, where would it be, and who would it be in front of?
See, I'm all about opportunities. Like, if I could have a dream speech, it would be probably Eric Thomas. He's a great motivational speaker. Tony Roberts,
Good one.
A recent president,
Okay.
maybe Trump, Barack, somebody of, and a celebrity figure like a Kim Kardashian
Like
or
you want
somebody.
them to be in your audience when you're giving
Yeah,
the
in the
speech.
audience, yeah. Because all I
Yeah,
need
that's
is
what I love those dreams.
one
I love
post.
it.
All I need is one post from in it, like, "Hey, I'm at this presentation. This is a great speaker." Like, you know how many businesses Oprah has saved simply by just posting about it?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that type of influence can change your life. Like if Oprah was like, "Hey, this is a great speaker. Y'all should contact him." I'd probably have to get a hire an assistant. Because
Hey, Tiffany, does that sound familiar? I'm
He
telling her
keeps wanting
today
me to
we
get
need
an
to hire her as
assistant.
some.
Yeah, I am.
Well, your assistant
Yeah.
would have been there earlier to make sure that all your AV stuff was set up properly. No.
I know that bitch
See?
doesn't come to work on time. What do you want me to do?
So when it comes to do you have a couple of different categories that you talk about when you do your motivational speeches, or do you have is it always about the distracted driving, or is it about like, live every day? Like what is your motivational speeches, like what is it based around, or do you do that? Do you kind of cater it to the group that you're talking to?
Yeah, of course you cater it to the group you're talking to. Like how I give a corporate presentation, and that's saying I'm going to talk to ninth graders, correct? So, but for
Gotcha.
the
Oh
most
yeah, of
part,
course, yeah.
it's overcoming adversity is a topic. Focusing on your goals is a topic. Distracted driving is a topic. Faith-based living is a topic. Like for churches
Love
and
it. Love that.
religious
Yeah.
audiences, and the importance of education. And that typically goes to collegiate athletes. Like your sport's not going to last forever. Importance of having an educational background because you never know when's your last day is going to be your last day of playing your sport. But it really just if you give me enough time, I could speak about anything. I remember one time I was reached out because people just need a speaker. They don't care. Are you a speaker? Yeah. Can you come speak about anti-bullying? I'm like, I've never been bullied, but hey, if you paying, I'm staying. If you want to hire me as an anti-bully speaker, I will gladly prepare myself.
Wait, so what you're saying is if you're paying, you'll do what we need.
Of course, I will speak about anything.
Tiffany, don't take it back there. We are finally talking about the subject at hand.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I've been on.
I'm just so intrigued. I can't. I'm just so intrigued. See, he said that.
To other podcasts, but that was it's called Horrible Decisions, and it's a national podcast out of New York, and they're specifically based on sex. So it's like that's the whole hour was that talking about that.
I love Horrible Decisions. They're some of my favorite things I've ever done. Horrible Decisions.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
She's just saying her horrible decisions.
I have had so much success from bad decisions, and everyone's like, "Oh, we don't want to make bad decisions." I have not yet had. We just talked about this actually with my dad yesterday when I was a little girl, 3.5, and I was riding in the backyard. You know those little they're like wooden trikes, like they're low to the ground and they have wheels, and you have to power them with your feet, and you're little. And there was this pile of yellow jackets in the backyard. An apple had gotten out there, and then it was surrounded by all these, and I was going to drive through that. And my mom is screaming, "Tiffany, do not go through the bees." Well, I was going through the damn bees, and no one was going to stop me because I'm still Tiffany. Oh, I was definitely, I was a tomboy. Kyle knew me wearing pearls and skirts. I was still a tomboy. I will never, I didn't wear heels through high school because there might be a tree I had to climb. Like, I'm not joking.
Right.
Yeah, I was climbing trees in heels at 35. Yes. So I drive through the bees. 14 stings all over my body. And when we're sitting there, Mom's taking them out. She goes, all those bees died when they stung you. And the first thing in my head was, and I still won. That was that was me winning.
Until you get stung that 15th time and your throat closes off. There's the respiratory therapist in me coming out again.
That's a paramedic speaking.
What a great inspirational discussion we've had here with Fletcher Cleaves, who is a motivational speaker and an advocate for ADA and all of the stuff that handicapped folks deal with in this country that don't have the accessibility that they need or that they deserve. So a little bit more about the ADA stuff. Like, do you ever do a speech to anybody to get people to put in more accessibility? Do you kind of cross the stream sometimes and do your motivational?
Oh, he should talk to Senate. You should go in front of the Senate.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll talk to anybody.
But
yeah,
I'm serious.
I absolutely do. But a lot of my ADA advocacy is in like the travel community. So like hotels, airplanes, things of that, excursions. So because I travel so much, I kind of became a advocate for people with mobility issues. Because people with mobility issues, they have a desire to do all the things that quote unquote normal people do. They just don't know how. So they see me doing all these things with going to Dubai and going to Europe and going to, Barbados and doing. It was like, hey, is there any advice you can give? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Here's some advice. Or I might go to like a resort in Jamaica, and I'm like, hey, it's my birthday. I want to treat myself a little bit. Hey, can I have an ADA room? Actually, can I have an ADA suite? Unfortunately, all of our ADA suites are just basic rooms with no balconies. I'm like, why do I can't have it? Like, yeah, like I got money. I want the ocean view. Like, so I'm like, and then I started thinking, it's like, yeah, they're right. A lot of ADA rooms are basic rooms that they just put in the back on the first floor because they have to. They're not really luxury room. Like, hey, ADA king suite or ADA balcony room or ADA whatever, right? So I'm like, boom, that's another point of advocacy. There should be more luxury ADA accessible things.
Wait, you're telling me there's no balcony rooms that are ADA accessible?
No, I'm not saying there aren't in the world. I don't know, but they're rare. It's extremely rare to find a resort in like the Caribbean or, probably like your Sandals or something, $800 a night, something like that. But just normal, it's rare to find a luxury ADA room.
Wow.
So it's like, I need to go in shower, but I also
we
want
need to
the free
figure
bar,
out which
the
resort
free
to send
bar.
this to. Yeah. Okay.
So like,
I like what you're saying. And I bet you the pool bars you can't get to.
nope. Yeah, it's like, well, so
even in your wheelchair pool thing, you can't roll out to them because they're too deep.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of my videos on YouTube, but I've been thrown in different bodies of water multiple times. So I'm like, my friends will be sitting at the pool, they'll just throw me in, I float, they'll pull me over, and you're like less buoyant in water, so I'm able to like sit up and just
at the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, the bar, yeah. But I wouldn't really consider it as accessible, but it's
it's just that you were thrown into it and then someone rescued you before you died. Yeah, I like that. You have good friends. Yeah. We're gonna get you to that bar. The motivation there.
I'm gonna find my way to some alcohol now.
There's two things that I know you and I will find our way to. One of them is alcohol. Kyle won't let me say the other one.
Always be smart choices, especially just a lot of accidents I've seen was alcohol was involved with being in that center.
Right.
And it's
the
like
best stories do not start with I drank a Pepsi today. That never happens.
I agree. I would say that. I would definitely say that. But I just just tell people to just make smart choices, man. Especially with technology and Ubers. Don't. I'm not. I
agree with you. Definitely Uber. I Uber all. Ask Kyle. I spend hundreds of dollars.
No, we Ubered when we did our day drinking in July at Disney,
and it was $75.
You got to come to Orlando, Fletch.
Yeah,
because isn't Disney pretty accessible? Aren't they?
Very
They're really accommodating.
Yes, Disney is like
and even including.
We should do that. We should do an ADA day. We've got. We should do it. It would be so much fun.
There's
bringing
a
our people
thing going around in the ADA community that a lot of people don't know about. It's a black market for people in wheelchairs to go to Disneyland and Disney World. So, have you ever realized that people in wheelchairs get to skip the line and you're part of it?
Right,
so
of course.
People hire people in wheelchairs to be a part of their party.
So that they're making money that way.
Are you being serious?
Yeah. So it's like, hey, Fletcher, we'll pay for your tickets. We'll give you $5,000. We have us and our 4 kids, and can you be a part of our party? So when I go to the ride, I'm like, hey, Fletcher Cleaves, my 4 distant cousins, y'all come to the front. They get to skip the line. So Disney is trying to crack down on it. It's a thing. It's an actual thing.
So I I actually I have a DAS thing with Disney. I have a lot. You guys see the fun side of me. Kyle, he's so blessed. He gets to see the really anxious, like not so fun side of me that we don't show a lot of people. And I have very bad anxiety. And it's pretty
Okay.
bad. And when I break down pretty fast. So I have a different pass for that. And I can skip lines and stuff. There's a benefit to it, you know, when I'm feeling good, but my godson and I went to Universal the weekend before Kyle was here, and we did Disney, and I thought for sure I could get through it. And there's this one ride, every time I go, I have a panic attack, and I didn't have anything with me, like no anxiety pills, nothing. And I stood outside for a minute, and I was like, Ryan, I don't think I can do this. Like, I had to really breathe through it. And luckily, we did get through it. And she said, okay, when you get to the bottom at this point, go up the elevator. But I still had to go through the packed hallway of people. And Ryan kept me very sidetracked. We had a really intense conversation that kept me very sidetracked. It was about sex. And then we didn't get off of it. So I was very sidetracked. And so we get to the bottom very fast. Like normally that stretch to my brain is like 30, 40 minutes. And it's not that long. But inside of me, by the time I get to the bottom, I'm done. Like I just shut down. My whole body will just shut down. So we went on it. We got in the elevator. We did okay. And we went back up front and got the pass because I realized I forgot Disney is so accessible, right? Even in their regular lines, like you don't have to worry about half the stuff anywhere else. And you go to SeaWorld, you go to Universal, you go to Busch Gardens, and it's not Disney. Actually, when you're not at Disney, you're just kind of like, oh shit, I'm not at Disney. So yeah. And so it kind of, yeah. So it's kind of, it was really a stressful situation. And it is good. But when people come with me, they're like, what you said, they're like, oh, we need to go with you every time. This is awesome. We just zoom in.
That's how it is. The airport is the same way. It's like, we all, let's say with a group, hey, who's all going to the airport? Yeah, we're all going. I'm going with Fletch because I know he's not going to wait any TSA lines.
I had to do that once. I just had a surgery and I couldn't walk well. My hip was still bad from the car accident and they had to take me in a wheelchair. And I was like, I skipped TSA. How? And just boom, took you right to the gate. You went right through. Nothing.
Here in the
I
States?
was like, yeah, I was at Orlando.
Yeah. I've skipped TSA lines. I've never skipped the actual. I've always got patted down.
We went through, but they didn't pat me down. They just said, "Okay, let her go," and then that was it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do have a TSA pre-check, so maybe that's why they didn't check my bag. Because once you have that pre-check, you can just But it was nice. I was like, wow, I'm not good in wheelchairs. Like I give you all the credit in the world because I get so claustrophobic. I just feel like I don't know how you got past that unless you're just not claustrophobic.
I mean, what other choice do I have? If you lay in the bed,
just stay in the house, right? Like, no, I get it. You kind of adjust.
So let's say you don't know what you said. Like, I don't know how you could be in a wheelchair all day. Like, if you had no other choice, you would do the same thing.
No, you're right. You're right. Because you still have to get around. You still have to be mobile. And is yours electronic? Like you can do everything yourself.
It's power assist. So I push it still with my arms, but there's a motor in each wheel that kind of like multiplies my push.
Oh, that's good. So you're still getting your muscle and your workout and stuff. Yeah. Is there stuff you can do to generate that muscle in your body? Is there stuff they do to make sure you're not in complete atrophy?
Well, yes, a stem machine, electronic stem machine. They can like hook up some electrodes to your legs. It sends an electrical current through the muscles. It contracts them, so it kind of like works them out. To kind of like not, but I mean it's cool.
Okay. No, that's
well,
awesome.
Listen, Fletch, how can if they they got to meet you on our podcast and you've been on other podcasts, but they see ours and they want you to do a motivational speech, or if they want to have you do a speech about ADA, where can they get a hold of you? Like, what's the best? Go ahead and tell us all that stuff. And of course, I'll put it down in our notes below, along with some other things that were talked about, but tell us how to get a hold of you and to be part of Fletcher's world.
Yeah, you can just go to FletcherCleaves.com. At FletcherCleaves.com, you'll find my TED Talk, my AT&T commercial, the Wheelchair Nomads and blog posts, my experiences in Rome, Dubai, and all these other places, my social media handles, my book, merchandise, my nonprofit information. Just go around FletcherCleaves.com, browse around, and you'll be able to contact, donate, everything.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Tiffany, do you have any other questions? We're right
No,
at
I got everything I needed to know.
I got everything I need to know.
That's right.
Yep. So just don't forget to, everybody follow Fletcher Cleaves on his social media. We'll have that in the notes, as well as follow Elite Few Media. Go ahead and dive into all of our content. We're going to have great people. The reason why we started this show is for exactly this reason. Fletcher is an elite few. He's a person that makes this world a fabulous and extraordinary world. So he has gotten past that adversity. He's now doing something for the better part of it. And he is definitely an elite few to us. So for Tiffany and I and everybody at Elite Few, we want to say goodbye and stay fabulous.
Absolutely. Thank you.